There's extraversion, which is a positive emotion dimension and is associated with gregariousness and enthusiasm and assertiveness and sociability and that sort of thing. And a trait called neuroticism, which is basically negative emotionality, which is associated with a proclivity towards anxiety and emotional pain. Agreeableness, which is compassion and politeness. And so agreeable people are, I would say, broadly speaking, rather maternal in their orientation. They tend to care more for others than for themselves. They're more cooperative than competitive, whereas so-called disagreeable people are more competitive and more brusque, I would say, and perhaps more straightforward and more able to stand up for themselves as well. Conscientiousness is another one of the dimensions. That's orderliness and industriousness. And the last dimension is openness to experience, which is a combination of interest in ideas, which is often known as intellect, and interest in aesthetics, and which is associated, let's say, with creativity. And that's the dimension that's also most highly correlated with IQ. The thing about personality is that the differences between people actually run quite deep. There's a lot of individual variability. So there are people who are extremely extroverted and they want to spend every moment of their time socializing with other people. And there are people who are very introverted and they want to work alone, and they find interactions with large groups of people, or even small groups sometimes, quite tiring, and they have to spend a lot of time recovering. They tend to be much more quiet. They're not necessarily shy, because that shyness is more a consequence of variation on the second dimension, neuroticism. And so people who are high in neuroticism feel much more anxiety and emotional pain per unit of uncertainty and stress than people who are very low in neuroticism, who are often known as emotionally stable and who tend to be quite imperturbable. Agreeable people, as I mentioned before, are warm and compassionate and very much care for other people, but are also likely to be taken advantage of and to feel a certain amount of resentment, whereas disagreeable people are tough and straightforward and competitive and out for victory, but can also be somewhat self-centered and harsh. And then conscientious people are hardworking and dutiful. Conscientiousness is a really good predictor of long-term life success, especially in academic attainment, where it's second only to IQ, and also in managerial and administrative jobs that require attention to detail and a fair bit of responsibility, let's say, and routine work. Openness to experience, that's the creativity dimension, and some people are extremely high in openness to experience, and they want to do nothing but discuss ideas and spend their time in creative and artistic pursuits, and other people are more conservative because low openness is associated with conservatism, and they're not really interested in novel ideas, and they don't think abstractly that often, and they're not out for new experiences or flights of fantasy or imaginative exercises or any of that thing. They're a lot more concrete and practical.